number. Yeah.
Oh,
Ritz, what if I just record it to the cloud? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good. Thanks.
Okay.
okay, thanks. All right, welcome. We have Mike
Where's that?
Thaler here today to teach to us. Thank you, Mike, for coming. Just kidding.
No, I know Mike Taylor. I grew up with Mike Taylor.
Did
He's
you
like
really?
my friend. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so hilarious. We did not plan this, you guys. Josh, thank you for coming, and
You're
we will
welcome.
turn the time over to you.
Oh, thank you. Hey guys.
This is
I'm
Josh Berrett. Sorry.
Does this work?
Yes, it does.
Does it though? There we go. Now it's working. Okay. Hey, have you guys seen me before? I've been around a little bit, right? I am the director of ops of the Peter Morkel Real Estate Group, and I run databases. So I signed up to teach the class. Hopefully it's okay or half decent. It should be though. This is my thing. I love talking about databases, growing databases. It's kind of a big deal. But this is my 5th year in real estate. I used to be the director of tech, so I kind of had a mix of Molly's job and Alex's job for the brokerage itself. So I know Command really well. I'm pretty used to dealing with brand new agents like yourselves in Ignite. So if you have questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, I want to know more about you. How many people do we have? Oh, Becca. Becca, did you hop on because of my Facebook post?
Yes, I did. Great marketing.
Thank you, Becca. Okay, so let's talk about you guys. I want to know names because I like to call people by their first name. You're Natalie. What's your first name? Catherine. Maybe mics don't like us today. Should we get a couple mics out? Okay, Catherine. How long is this your first month, first week? Couple weeks in. Oh, double mics. Okay, here, we can go around. Catherine.
I'm
Okay.
Tyson, and this is like my 3rd week, I think.
Well, how? Weekers. Okay, keep going. Tyson.
I'm Tyler, and this is my 3rd month.
Okay. We got a monther here. You're basically like the veteran of the group.
I'm Cash. This is my 2nd Monday full-time.
Wow. Cash, wait, time out. Cash, you are the cultural icon of the month. Is that what it was? Rookie of the month. That's what it was. Okay. Awesome.
Julie Anderson, a month and a half.
Nice. Welcome, Julie. Wait. So let's make sure. Catherine, Tyson, Tyler, Cash, Julie, Jamie. Just kidding. Keep going.
I'm Cade, and I'm about 2 months in.
Cade. Okay. Awesome. Oh, dang. Give a hand for Cade. He's the real veteran.
I'm Greg. I've been at it a couple of years, but never attended the Ignite class.
Okay. Let's jump into it. So it looks like you guys have talked about. All experts at that now? Yes. Just kidding. What the? You know what's funny? I turned that off like 20 minutes ago. That's how long it took. That's hilarious. But today we're going to talk about growing your database. What is this? Will someone read me this quote with a big, loud, awesome voice?
Hey, are we able to get the screen shared on Zoom?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, David. That's my bad. Where is it?
Did you want somebody to read it? Is that what you said?
Yeah, will someone read that for me?
Your database is your business.
Sorry. Go. Wait, what the heck? We'll just share Chrome. All right, keep going.
Your database is your business. Building up the number of names in it and a relationship with those whose names is really at the very core of what building a real estate business is all about.
That's amazing. Your database is your business. Who is this? Who said this? Who's Gary? I know who Gary is. You all know who Gary is, right? Gary's like that guy that's kind of an enigma in the business. He's like the Gary V of marketing, but in real estate. You guys know who Gary V is? Okay. Yeah, he's like that guy who just like tells it how it is, except for he has way cleaner language than Gary V does, you know, but it's a thing. Hey, will you grab me a whiteboard? I'm pretty sure they stole it, the Wild team, but just kick them out. So we're gonna talk a lot about databases. Databases are kind of a big deal here because previous to coming to KW, or KW is kind of unique in preaching database rather than just preaching open houses or doing your business. So we're gonna talk a lot about database, okay? And smart databank. Why do you think it starts with smart databank and then goes into feeding and servicing and whatever your database? Why the word smart? Any ideas? Yes, Greg.
I think it would need to be people that you have a connection, a direct connection with. So when you're communicating with them, the first thing they think about is, hey, it's great to do real estate.
Yeah, no, I love that. So I'm gonna say this applies to that, the word data bank. Right? You've got data, but it's a bank because people recognize who you are, right? It's not just a list of names, right? People know who you are, they know what you do. But why smart? Why the word smart? I'm gonna make you answer questions all day. It's gonna be amazing.
Smart, so you're not just adding every name you know.
That's totally fair. That's great. I'm thinking more system-wise though. Do we use spreadsheets at KW? No, because that's a dumb database or data bank, right? Smart meaning we have this container of all these people, but the thing that's containing them is smart. There's AI involved. There's smart plans involved. There's automation involved. Does that make sense? So we do not have to use a spreadsheet and make sure that we're keeping consistent contact with them, but we have the system do it for us. That seem fair? So smart data bank. Oh yeah, this is important. Let's talk about the difference between these really quick, just so that we're all using the same vernacular. I love the word vernacular. The first time I ever heard the word vernacular was on Parks and Rec. Have you guys ever seen Parks and Rec? No, wait, no, it wasn't Parks and Rec. It was The Office. It was The Office. You guys watch The Office? You know that episode where Dwight and the new intern, this is like way later in the seasons, but the new intern, they're dragging this body down the stairs and Dwight's like, grab him by the torso and the hip joint or something. He's like, that's not the vernacular I'm comfortable with. Just say like arm, dude, you know, or something like that. That was the first time I ever heard the word vernacular. I love the word vernacular. Makes me sound smart. So we're gonna get rid of this. But the vernacular of real estate, leads equals no relationship, but potential business opportunity. You've talked a lot about leads. We're not going to talk about leads very much today, okay? So these are people that you don't really have a relationship with, but there is some business opportunity. And then SOI is you have a relationship with them, you've met them. Sometimes people call them METs, but just we call SOI. What does SOI stand for? Does anybody know? Sphere of influence, yes. So let's write that because this is, what the heck? Look at that. Why do we have crappy markers? Do you think I can make it? Where's the trash? Yeah, that's close. All right, so sphere, for the record, oh my gosh, why? As soon as I started writing this, I'm like, wait, P. And so my handwriting is going to be atrocious. We're just going to settle that right now. Everybody okay with that? We're good? Okay. Sphere of influence, especially with whiteboards, because pretty much everything I do smears it. Sphere of influence. So the people around you in your life, and there's a sphere that you have around the people that you meet, around the life that you live, of people that you influence. And that's your sphere of influence, right? Everybody understand that? Isn't like a new thing for you? Okay, so that's your SOI. I'm gonna say this is just the world, the doctrine according to Josh. So take this or leave it. But I'm gonna say a farm is those who you have no relationship and there's no known business opportunity. Does that make sense? So if you're gonna reach out to people that they haven't signed up for something, you know, or you don't have a relationship with them, I'm just gonna call them a part of a farm, because that's usually how that happens, right? You get a Mojo dialer list and you're calling like the most random neighborhood or whatever around an open house or something like that, or you're sending out postcards to a certain farm or something like that, right? So any questions on that? You guys comfortable with these words? SOI leads. We're talking about SOI today. Okay. It's not like me. So I hate this graph. This is the most confusing graph ever. So I edited it to simplify your life. We're not going to talk about any of this. We're going to talk about this. So you have leads that you're trying to form relationships with, and those leads become contacts once you do have a relationship with them. And as you strengthen that relationship, they convert into business. Interactive and needs-based offerings. Any questions on that? This seems like just basic stuff 101, but this is important because this is kind of, this whole thing can be your database, but what do you think percentage-wise comes from here in comparison to here? Any guesses? Here's a better question. What percentage-wise would you rather have these come from? Here or here? Why? What's the pros?
So hopefully by that point, you're at least comfortable talking to them, that, you have experience with your relationship with them. Leads, they're interested in something, but they don't know who you are.
It's true. That's totally true. What else? Tell me more. What would you prefer? Would you rather work with a lead? And there's not a right answer here. There's not a right or a wrong answer here. Who would rather work with a lead? Why? This is good. I want someone to say yes, Greg, because
As I look back at most of my skills have come from relationships. Those leads to contacts. Sold a house last weekend. Relationship was the open house turned into 2 more listings now, contacts.
so you're saying this side, right? This is the one you'd rather work with, the contact side rather than the lead side, because that's where the relationships are formed.
No, I'm saying the contacts generally come from relationships I already have. Oh, wait, I'm looking at it backwards, aren't I?
Yes, you're looking at back. Yeah.
Contacts are existing relationships.
Yes. Yes. No, that's fine. Yeah. No, that's okay. Yep.
The contacts, those lead to leads, that's how it works.
Can you think of a business that runs off these instead of these? I'm going to give you a hint. Billboards. That doesn't help you? What's a real estate company that relies on billboards and leads? There you go. Right? Think of how much money is dumped into companies that don't rely on relationships, that only rely on leads. You think it's a very profitable way to run business? It's not. They are constantly losing money every year by relying on that system. Now, again, like this is like lots of people rely just on leads. There are people who literally run their real estate business off of door knocking, and that's all they do, right? Occasionally they'll get family and friends that buy, but 90% come from here rather than here. I would argue that this is way more work and way more money than this is, right? It's a lot. So we're going to talk about how to build this and grow it so it becomes this. So let's talk about command. You guys are all in command, right? Okay. So this is going to be a little bit awkward because I'm not in command because
Hey,
I
so
run a team.
I'm still
Oh,
not
wait.
getting any video on Zoom. It's not a big deal because I can kind of see what's going on just from hearing what you're saying. But if it can get working, that'd be great.
Wait, it's still not sharing?
I'm not seeing it at least. I'm not sure about anyone else.
It says that I'm screen sharing. Let me try again. Can you see that?
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's talk about, oh wait, actually I do need to exit out of that. Let's talk about command. So in command, this is where you host your database and your contacts, right? We'll talk about this setup. But what makes command so special, as well as so many other CRMs, we use something called Chime, so I'll show you our Chime in a little bit. But is the campaigns that you can build out and the smart plans that you can build out, right? Because you can turn this pretty much spreadsheet, right? I mean, if you walk into contacts, something that most people don't realize is that this is pretty much a fancy looking spreadsheet, right? You've got your columns and you've got your rows. You can do the same thing on any Excel spreadsheet, right? So this might be just a fancy looking spreadsheet, but it's a fancy looking spreadsheet that you can automate and you can help become an actual smart data bank. So that's a huge pro in command. We'll talk about really specifics. There's a couple things I'm going to show you guys today that most people don't know how to do, like how to target, how to run Facebook ads directly to your SOI. Like have a specific list. Does that make sense? You get your SOI's email list, and now I'm going to run Facebook ads for $1 a day to my SOI forever. That sounds like something you'd want to see. It's pretty simple, but it's super effective. So let's go back here. Okay, so in command, we use Chime. Chime looks a lot like command, but again, it's the smart database thing. So we just sent out an email yesterday. Should we look, Natalie? I'm actually curious about this. So we can see things like when we send out an email. So we sent out our May email.
Wait, Chime is in command.
No, Chime is not in command. It's a separate thing, but it's the same concept as command. So in command, you can send out emails and smart plans and see the open rates. But I know Chime a little bit better at this point. But so you can see we had a 40% open rate, which is pretty good. 40% open rate of our emails. And we had a few, I think we had like 10 people sign up for our giveaway, and then like 200 people sign up for our event so far, just so you know. That's pretty good. But like this is the smart side of things that I can see, right? I can see how effective my emails are. Do you know what the industry standard is for email rates, open rates? Anybody know? It's like 10%. It's actually like 5%, but I think that's like a stupid number. I feel like that's way too low. So I like to say 10. So I think 10% is a pretty fair. If you're getting 10%, you're doing okay. But if you're getting 40% or higher, usually we average about 40, right? One time we got 57, you know. So, but if you're averaging 40% or higher, then you know you're doing pretty good. But we're not going to focus on that. But Chime, that's the summary. Chime and command, you can run automated systems through. So building a database, these are the 4 laws of a database. First of all, you have to build it. How many have your database in command currently? Raise your hand. Getting started. Okay, so no one has their database in command. How many of you have 100 people in command currently?
I've got about 200 in mine right now.
Nice, David. Okay, so Chad, Cade, that was weird. As soon as that came out of my mouth, I was like, nope, that's wrong. So Cade, right? I would say once you get to 100, you're on a good track. So make that a goal, right? Get 100 people in there. Do it like today, right? Maybe we'll take some time in class to do that, and we'll talk about who to put in there. But build a database, that's step 1. Feed it every day. What does that mean? So that's what I thought, actually, when I first read this. But no, it's not contact people. It's not update it. Yes?
Would be to, let's say, for example, you decided to put in birthdays or something like that. You're constantly upgrading with more information.
So that's what I thought it was, but it's actually not that. It's add to it. Yeah, right? Like this is the thing that we think like, okay, I got 200 people in there, I'm good. No, false, right? Do you know what the number is to net 1 million? Wait, sorry, that's a terrible question. How many contacts do you need to have that are Mets in your database in order to net 1 million? Does anybody know what that number is? Just throw out numbers. What do you think it is?
2,000.
Oh, I hate you. It's like 1956 or something. It's like a super specific number. Thanks, Molly. You should. So it's something like that. Middle of 1900-ish, somewhere in that range, right? To net $1 million every year, 1,900 contacts. So if you have like good contacts, like Mets, right? People you have a relationship enough that you would call them and have a conversation with them. So let's take that number. Let's divide it by 10. So 195, right? So if you have 195 Mets that you have a really good 36 touch with, you've got the whole system built out. What does that mean? If you're netting 1 million with 1956, how much should you net with 195? 100,000, right? How many of you have a goal to make $100,000 this year? Yes, cash. All right, right? So like, does 195 seem like a reasonably doable number? It is. It's very much a reasonably doable number. The trick though is METs, right? These are not leads. These aren't just like random people and their dog, right? These are people that you have some kind of a relationship with, but you know way more people than you think you do. I won't talk about that. So feed it every day. You guys know what a 411 is, right? This is where I was going with this. A 411 is, I mean, not a 411. Sorry. It's wait, is it a 411? Wow, now I'm embarrassed. What is it called? It's where you do 4 things and you add 1 person. No, wait. Oh my gosh, where's Shoni when I need him? Shoni teaches this.
Are you talking about a 135?
No, not a 135. 411 is based off of a 135, but it's like, is it a 410? Maybe it's a 410. 8x8. No, it's not an 8x8. So it's something like, the summary is add 10 people to your database every day, or pick a number and do that every day. Make that your goal, right? When you're coming in and you're lead generating in the morning, how long should you lead generate in the morning? Anybody know? The amount of time that you will. That's the right answer, really, right? But say an hour minimum, right? I think KW preaches 3 hours, and I think that's ridiculous. If you're not including all the prep time that could hypothetically be involved, right? Whatever. But for an hour every day, how many people can you get into your database? Let's say 5, right? If you're adding 5 people to your database and that's your goal, I don't go home until I add 5 people to my database every single day, you're going to go far in this business. It's going to be a big deal. Okay? So feed it every day. That's the summary. Feed it every day. Pick a number and make that your goal. I'm going to feed it every single day. Communicate systematically. We're going to talk about that. How do you communicate? We send emails. We do a whole bunch of other things. I'll show you our marketing plan in just a little bit. And then service all leads, right? Make sure that when you are helping your leads, that it's a mutually beneficial relationship, that it's not just you're calling them and you're saying, hey, send me referrals, right? Like there's a relationship there that's beyond I'm the salesperson. And that when you are the salesperson, you're providing a high level of service. All right, let's take a break for just a second. Tell me your ahas so far. No one learned
I
anything.
think it's good to know about the amount of people you need in your database while performing the appropriate, the whatever touch rules it is, the like 10 touch rules, equivalent to how much income you're looking for.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, 1956, that's not quite right. I actually feel like it's in the 40s. I think it's like 1947. For some reason, that number's in my head. But it's 19 something. Anyway, what else? Any other ahas?
I have my ahas that hit the next day. I process. I sit and I process. And then I go.
Okay, that's fair.
Mine is thinking and add consistently to add people to it every day, rather than just reach out and contact it, update it every day, and then add to it every day.
Yes, adding it to it consistently. Honestly, like that's the bane of existence for most agents, right? Our team is terrible at this. Like we're trying right now really hard to like ingrain this in our agents' minds, because people don't do this. They don't think like, oh, I met Sally yesterday at the grocery store and I should probably add her to my database, right? They think like, oh, it was so nice to meet Sally, and tell her I'm a real estate agent and we really connected and blah, 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 blah. Now she's my friend. So I'm going to invite her to this thing but I don't even think about adding her to my database, right? Like you meet so many people every day that you don't realize. How many of you met me? Add me to your database, right? I'll give you my number. Just kidding. Okay, build your database. So when we're building our database,
I have a question.
yes.
So, and this is, I feel like, I kind of feel like this is a dumb question, but this is the way my brain is processing.
I really don't believe in dumb questions.
Okay, well,
Except this is actually, I'm starting to get that vibe.
yeah. It's gonna
I'm
be
just
fun.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so, but I really think about like who to add, because I go, okay, what's the point of adding this person in XYZ? Okay.
Okay.
So for instance, how you just made a comment, add me to your database. Okay, but then I go, why would I add you to my database? You are doing this. I want to support you to get your own, not you bring me stuff.
Yeah, that's totally fair. That's a great point. So I would, if you were to add me to your database, first of all, I would tag me in a really specific tag or something like that, or like separate, like I would never be in your top 50 if you guys ever do top 50 or top, right? Like I'm not that guy. I'm not your A's or whatever, right? But like, do you know how many people leave this business in 2 or 3 years or 1 or 2 years, right? Like maybe half of you in this room will leave the business in the next year or 2. And when you leave the business, who's that person keeping in contact with you the whole time? Does that make sense? Like people like me, I probably won't leave the business, but if I do, there are really specific people that keep in contact with me that I would probably refer all of the people that I meet into the future. Does that make sense? Like you never know. Sometimes like you might be a better fit for a certain client than I would be. Does that make sense? I've probably referred 50% of my people to other people that I didn't help. A big part of that is because I teach and I run systems and I do marketing, right? Like that's more of my gig. I'm not as much of an expert in real estate lingo as other people are. So when it comes to a really specific, difficult thing, right? Anyway, now I'm rambling. But does that make sense though? Like you just never know. So I wouldn't bow someone out just because they're also a real estate agent or just because they're just another title person or whatever it is. People switch their careers a lot more than you anticipate. Let's go to in the back here first.
Command have a app now?
Yeah, it does.
Chance they decided that maybe I'll hook that to my contact list so that if I'm adding a contact to my phone.
Yeah, it's connected. It's like the back end of Command, but just in an app now.
It automatically, so I only have to do it once. I don't have to enter it to my phone and then enter it to Command. Is that right?
Wait, are you saying? Are you saying that you put a contact into your phone and then it automatically updates into Command? So that's PySync. If you want to do that, then you're going to have to use PySync to do that because, like, something like Command, it doesn't want to take over your phone. Where does that make sense? It doesn't want to assume that you want that person to go straight into Command unless you say that you want to. So you have to sync that.
I know, but I mean, wouldn't it be cool if, you know, when you're putting something in your phone, it gives you the option to add this command?
I don't think that actually. Yeah, because like if I'm adding like a religious figure in my, you know, in my ward or something, right? Like I don't want to automatically assume that that person's going to go into my command, into my database, unless I control that.
No, say no on command. If it does that.
Yeah, that's possible, but that's why they didn't do it, because I feel like that's kind of like a 50-50 preference thing. Greg, let's go you.
I put all the agents I deal with in my database because I send out my listings. I want those agents to see it become some of this.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I think.
You have to be careful about that though, because a lot of agents are like, you know, why are people sending me listings? You know, when they, I got it and all that.
That's fair, but if people don't want it, then they'll just unsubscribe from whatever that is that you're sending them, right?
Yeah, and I have to.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, like,
My personal life. Just want to let you know.
yeah, my boss's favorite. So Peter, he runs our team, right? He's like the sales guy of the team. His favorite quote is, "Would it offend you if I added you to my marketing email?" Would it offend you if I added you? Like usually you say that after you have a conversation with somebody about real estate, right? Like, you know, they find out you're an agent, they ask you a question like, "Yeah, hey, how's the market doing?" And you know, you answer with, that was weird. You answer with whatever your normal lingo is, right? And then you just say, "Hey, you know what? Actually, would it offend you if I added you to my monthly email?" Because we usually answer all these questions and kind of just give you a quick update every month or so, right? That's an easy way to get permission to add something to an email campaign. Build database. Okay, we're gonna move forward. So at a minimum, each contact should have name, contact info, past business record. I don't know why they have past business record in that. Oh, it's because it's previous transactions. So you should keep track of transactions that you have, which is done through, I just totally blanked on the name in Command. What is it called? Oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed. Transactions? What is it called? Someone help me. And where do you keep track of your transactions in command? Opportunities, that's what it is. Thank you. Thank you, self. Okay, so let's talk about, wait, why did this go forward so far? Okay, let's talk about contact information. What are the most important contact information pieces that you can get? Name, yes, go. I want the top 4. Name, phone, email. Yes, thank you. You guys are smarter than you look. Just kidding. Address. This is like bam, 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 bam. Do this. Okay, if you don't have this information, you know what that is. It's a great opportunity to call someone. Hey, John, it's been a long time. How's life? Let's talk through the Ford method. Also, what's your address? Where do you live again? Tell me your exact address so I can stalk you at night, right? Say that. Just kidding. I think it's less weird when you have relationships with people to get contact information than you think. Like just saying like, hey, I'm just building out, like, I want to make sure I have the right contact information. What was your address again? Just in case I ever need to send you something, or, you know, I want to stop by and say hello sometime.
Asking for somebody's address is not uncommon.
It's really not.
So it's, people don't really question you much.
Yep. Yeah, you think this is weirder than it is, just so you know. Unless you make it weird, right? Like say it how I just said it. That's a good way to lose people. Okay. So everybody know how to add people into command? You guys feel comfortable with that? Do you want me to walk through it? Feel okay? All right. I'm not going to walk through that. If you have any questions about putting people in, you can always go talk to Alex. This is kind of like the standard: name, phone number, email address. You can put in birthdays. You can put in their marriage anniversary or wedding anniversary or whatever. Like you can add stuff as you want, but like make sure you have these things, okay? Because you're going to use them at random times of your career, and you're going to regret not having that because you just didn't ask them that one question in the future. You'd be surprised. I'll tell you a quick story. So we have an agent on our team who she's really good at a lot of things, but really bad at this. But when we have a special project, she'll go through all of her contacts and she'll get that individual contact thing that we need, like an address, for example. Like we're going to send out a mailer. So she'll be super good at calling all of her people and getting their mailing address, right? And then, oh, actually, we're going to send out a voicemail through side broadcast. And so then she'll be super good at reaching out and getting everybody's phone number. I'm just like, why don't you just do all this in one go? Like, anyway, just do it in one go. You're already calling your people. Make sure you have their contact information. And it's easy, right? You log in, you see Akinola. What a weird name. You see Akinola, Jake Spare, or whatever, right? You log in and you realize, okay, I've got their phone number. I've got their, oh, wait, but I don't have their address, right? Their address should show up here near their neighborhoods. And so, great, I'll just ask him when I call him because I have to follow up with him anyway. Any questions on that? We don't need to talk about ahas. Do you have any major ahas? Okay. Okay, feed your database. So feed it every day through prospecting and marketing. Let's talk about ways to feed. So how to feed your database. How do you get people to add to your database? Let's talk about ways.
What are your contacts list?
Contacts list. Perfect. Okay, phone contacts list. How many people do you have in your phone currently? Exactly. That's the most common answer. Actually, we hired an agent. She had less than 60 people in her phone. I know. That's what I said. That's exactly the face that I had. I was like, are you a hermit? Like, what's going on here? Right? But that's okay because she likes to keep her phone organized that way, right? It's just like her preference thing. But most people have hundreds of people in their phone as contacts.
I want to know exactly who's calling. So I have people on my phone who I talk to for 10 minutes.
Me too.
I would talk to every single person.
Yep. I'm very similar to that. Okay, what else? Phone contacts is the only place?
Facebook, social media.
Social media. Let's talk about social media for just a second. What can you get from social media in terms of contact information? No, you can't get email. How can you get email from social media?
Well,
I don't think you can.
if they have it set to public.
Really?
Everybody's different. Yeah.
I I didn't even know that.
Mine is set to like only friends.
So social media, maybe email, right? But I love social media because this is a great way to get a list of people you know. Even if you don't have their contact information, right? Like if you just want a list of like the 600 people that you've met in your lifetime or 2,000 people you've met in your lifetime, right? Hop on social media, look at that list, and then start private messaging people. Like, hey, Bill, it's been forever, right? Let's go to lunch sometime, you know, whatever. What else? I cut you off, sorry. Anybody else? Yeah, I'm trying to remember his name. David?
Yeah. So like maybe church groups, or not just like Facebook, but you can also have like Instagram or whatever other social media you might have. If you're part of any sort of organizations, like, I don't know, a Frisbee golf team or any sort of group you're a part of, you can always get contacts from those.
David, do you play Frisbee golf?
I play Frisbee golf a bit and ultimate Frisbee. Yeah.
Oh, I love you so much. I'm going on a road trip. That's literally a disc golf road trip this
Oh,
weekend.
heck, love it.
We're going to hit the Ford and go to Colorado and hit some of the big places out there. Anyway, you're my new favorite person. I'm going to make sure I get you in my database. Just kidding.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, organizations, hobbies. That's a good way. What else? Give me more. What about Gmail? You're shaking your head. You don't like that?
I have no idea.
Oh, Gmail. I'm going to put Gmail on here. Why Gmail? Because of the million emails that you've gotten from people in your lifetime that are just sitting in Gmail, whose emails you have, but you forgot that they're in there. Right? You can literally go through your list of emails that you have in Gmail and be like, I mean, like, this is maybe tedious, but like, this is a possibility, right? We're just throwing out possibilities.
You're right, because there are probably plenty of people that have emailed me.
Yep.
Not just in Gmail, but just email in general, that have emailed me that I've gone, I've never even talked to you, but somehow you have my email, so now I have yours.
Now I have yours. And like when you're going through social media and you're realizing that you have all these people that you don't have contacts with, chances are you have their email in your Gmail, right? Because if you knew them before, there's a chance that you probably emailed back and forth, unless you're like a young generation, like you young bucks over here. Like, I don't even know how old you are, but how old do you think I am, actually? That makes me sound old. Let's not have that conversation. All right, Gmail. What else? Where can you get people's information from or realize people that you don't? Stalking sites. I'm just kidding. I think church groups is actually a really good one because we make connections through things like church. Really good connections. Sometimes we forget about those connections.
You know, Facebook groups. I'm in a lot of Facebook groups.
Yeah, that's a great one. Facebook groups. Oh my gosh. Just don't judge me for my handwriting. Or do, either way. Facebook groups. Yep, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups too. Probably a stupid amount of Facebook groups, actually. Anything else? Feeding our database. Can we just put in like, can we just have like a notes page in our phone where we write down people we talk to every day? Like not talk to. That's a bad way to write that. I'm gonna say daily meets, right? Create a habit of making people that you meet a bigger deal. Does that make sense? Especially if you have a connection. Like if you meet someone and you're like, oh, hi person that I met that one time in that one bar in 1960s, right? Like that's not what I mean. But I mean, like if you connect with somebody, make it a habit to go beyond just like, it was good to meet you, right? Get their contact information. Say you want to keep in touch, right? And keep in touch. Make that a bigger deal. You are now in the business of making and keeping relationships. You have to get really good at this, okay? Because otherwise you're going to fall behind. Anything else you want to add to this list?
You don't have to make a spot on your phone to do that, because if you have the command app, you can just add them into the command app and then you can put them in your notes on their contact page.
That's a great comment. Yep. You don't have to make this a big deal. Just log into your command app, throw it in there. You're good to go. Okay, value of your sphere. Your sphere will generate new, repeat, and referral business. So we talked about just kind of like what Greg was saying, right? On this side of our contacts, we strengthen our relationships because this is where new, repeat, and referral business comes from. This talks a little bit about reviews. Reviews are great. I don't really have any major comments about reviews. You can ask for reviews.
I've already created like my own Facebook page and my LLC. I'm ready to go.
Facebook business page?
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to get reviews on there, but obviously I don't have any transactions right now. I mean, I am going through one, but it's a personal transaction and it's with family, so there's, no outside.
Okay.
And so what are other ways that you can go and have people put reviews on your page without saying, "Who writes something about my character?" Or does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's what this says right here. What areas of business or customer service could you ask someone to provide a testimonial or review on? So I'm going to say something and you guys are going to judge me hard for this, but I don't really think reviews are as important as this makes them seem to be, or as maybe you're thinking they are, because we are in a relationship business. If people know you, to start is what I mean, right? Like as you grow, you're going to want reviews because you're going to be focusing more on leads and stuff. But like most of you are so new to the business, like this is the last thing you should be thinking about, except for like long-term, right? Like 3 years from down the road, you should have 20 of these, right? Hopefully, right? But until then, like, you're right. Don't go getting reviews for the sake of having reviews, right? Like give better experiences than getting reviews for the sake of having reviews. That's my opinion. That seem fair? Okay. Yeah. I just had like an epiphany and then I forgot what it was. That's okay. Oh yeah, okay, I remember what it was. We'll talk about it in a second. Any ahas from this? What'd you learn? Where are we at? 10:14, okay. You guys are gonna have to start writing down your ahas or this is gonna be just like a long day of this awkward question. Okay. Okay. This is helpful. Another information overload kind of scenario, right? All right, well, let's move on. I don't know what this quote says. To succeed at a high level in real estate sales, you must commit to frequent contact with the database with the intent of building close relationships. Yes. So let's talk about frequent contact. Communicate systematically. So you guys have heard of a 36 touch, right? Oh, segment in your database. So you can do this. Okay, well, I'm going to go through this really quickly just because it says I should. So tags. I think that tags are overrated personally, except for specific tags. Or if you're really good at something like for David, maybe it's disc golf, right? If you have a hobby and you're meeting a lot of people through that hobby, maybe make that a tag, right? But like, you don't need to go through and label every single person as they could be an investor or they could be in the military, or does that make sense? Like, I feel like personally, like that's an information overload because kind of like what this says, like, you've got golf and investor and dog lovers, you got all these tags and you're trying to create a newsletter that's catered to all of these people. Like, I feel like adding in all these tags overcomplicates that unless, again, you have a subsidiary, whatever that word is, group of people that's more than 20, right? If you have 200 people in your database and 2 of them play golf and are tagged as golf, like, does that seem like it's worth your time to think about? Maybe not. But anyway, so don't worry too much about tags, but tag your people in ways that you're going to market to them, right? If you're going to have disc golf tournaments, for example, tag them as disc golf so you know that those are your people. You can easily bring them up as your disc golf people. Okay, that seem fair? Otherwise, don't overthink tags. Oh, except we're going to go back over here and I'm going to erase all this. This is the exception to this rule. You should separate your database. I don't think I put in this to have this conversation, so we're gonna have it right now. How have you been taught to separate your database? Before I tell you how. You haven't been taught to separate your database. Okay, this is how we do it. But ideally, you have a top section and then the rest. That's the summary, right? We do top 50, okay? Some people do A's or top 200. I think that's too many, or, you know, whatever it might be, right? But have a group that's like your people. And by your people, I mean, those are the guys that are giving you referrals. Those are the people that not only see you as their agent, but they see you as the agent. Does that make sense? Have these people, separate them with a tag or in a group or whatever it is, and then you have the rest. And the rest are just the rest. And for us, like most of these people get the same type of marketing. Top 50, sometimes we specify a little bit more, but usually it's the conversations that are very different with our top 50, right? If your people are in your top 50, they need to know that they're in your top 50. So that conversation has to be had. And it looks something like this. Or Peter, talk to me about, that's Peter, he's the man himself. Tell me that I'm in your top 50.
Josh, you and I have known each other a long time. And you know that I do real estate, right?
I do, yes.
I sold you the last 2 homes.
You sure did. Actually, Peter, I'm gonna give you a mic because I feel like this is good.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Test.
Okay. So you and I have known each other for a long time. You know, real estate's one of my passions. And I've sold you your last 2 homes.
Yeah.
So we have a select group of people that we refer to as our VIPs. And essentially what we do for those folks is whenever there's a hot property that hits the market or a cool event that's happening, we'll notify you, and often we'll even pay for you to attend that event. And I want to invite you to participate in that top 50. How does that sound to you?
Sounds amazing.
Awesome. The only thing we ask in return is that if you come across anyone who needs to buy a home or sell a home or build a home, or is even dreaming about real estate, that you wouldn't hesitate to put us on a group text with them.
I think I could do that, yeah.
And it really, for me, it's about making sure that I've got a group of friends that see me as their go-to person for real estate. And then I get to spend hardly any money on marketing because I've got 50 folks walking around being my raving fans and talking about how great I've done for them. So it really is a win-win. Does that make sense?
Yeah, great.
Awesome.
Thank you, Peter. Cool. Tell me a couple of things that he did in that moment. What did he do?
He offered value.
Yes, he offered value. Good. Also,
he told them exactly what he wants them to do.
Yes, thank you. He told them exactly what. So what did he want me to do as a part of his top 50? Yeah, but what does that mean? That means nothing. Sorry. I love that you said that because I want you to say that. Send a group text, right? Because sending referrals means nothing to our consumers, right? To our clients. That doesn't mean anything, right? So start a group text. This is exactly how I want you to do it. Anytime you hear somebody who wants to buy or sell, I want you to start a group text for them, right? Super specific. Also, we just put them on the spot. So for being put on the spot right there, right? That's pretty good. Anything else? I liked how he described what the top 50 program was in terms of like, you are a VIP. Like you're on the top of my list. You're a big deal to me. Like when I think of my favorite clients, you're one of them. Does that make sense? Have that conversation with them. But the summary is for your top 50, they need to know they are in your top 50 and what that means, what your expectations are for them and what their expectations can be from you. It's kind of like the promise script. If you guys remember that from Lee. Go.
So I'm just trying to think about like, because I don't have that, you know, you're my top 50 clients because I don't have that. So I'm trying to sit here and going to reword that to, you are one of my favorite people and I respect you and I respect those that you can send to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, you don't have to have closings, but again, it's a setting expectations. Or Peter, you can go. I was gonna.
I think being new is actually a huge advantage because you can prevent all the mistakes, right? You can do it right from the beginning rather than correcting it 3 years into your career. And I would simply say exactly what you said. Wow, I just got into real estate and I had a big aha meeting today. This aha was that if I can find 50 people that know and trust me implicitly, that will send their friends and family my way, knowing that I will treat them like gold, that those are the people I want to do business with. And I'm going to reward those folks by being part of my client appreciation program. So when we have a movie event at our office, or when we have a free day / summit, you're going to be the first people I call. How does that sound?
Yeah. So the summary of what Peter was just saying for those on Zoom is, well, I had this really great train of thought, and then it just treat them like gold. And I was going to say, oh, that as a new agent, you have an advantage because you don't have bad habits yet. You can start these expectations from the very beginning, which is good because a lot of agents don't do this. This is important. Like, I can't believe I forgot to put this on the slides, but between like adding to your database and having a top 50, like probably the top 2 takeaways I would say from this class is do those 2 things. Okay. But when you do, like, it should be an easy conversation in the sense of like, hey, look, I'm a new real estate agent, but I'm growing and I want to be the best that there is. And so I know that we have a relationship. I would love if you would support me. I'm going to invite you to all my best events, blah, 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 blah. What I ask in return is anytime you hear of anybody, blah. It's the same kind of conversation, except for you exclude the we've closed 2 deals in the past and you know how I work, right? But instead of how I work, it's who I am, and I will do my best to treat your people like gold. So, yep. Okay, so communicate with value. There's leads that you've talked about in the past. One to cement. I have no idea what that is, or I've never heard of it, but it sounds like a high value touch that solidifies the relationship you have just established and opens the door for future interaction. But then there's the 36 touch, or 36 to convert. So let's talk about 36 touch here. So our 36 touch looks like this, which is really a 38 touch. So we separate marketing and prospecting. This is important to separate, right? Prospecting is the work that is not automated in a sense. Does that make sense? Your 36 touch hypothetically should be a mix of both. So total for our touches is something like 61. Is that right? Yeah, 61 touches a year for those on our team. But this is what our marketing calendar, the automated things look like, right? We have events. We have a Valentine's event. We did a Harry Potter movie event. We're actually doing Killer Splash. So we're adding this in, and then we'll do pumpkins and pies as well. And then we do Popeyes. We love Popeyes. We think Popeyes are such a high value. Like, you buy something and you just bring it to someone's house and you get to have a face-to-face conversation with them and become their best friend, right? So Popeyes, ice scrapers, Girl Scout cookies. We like to buy Girl Scout cookies because we like to contact our database and say, who's in Girl Scouts? Who can we buy cookies from? And then give them away to our clients, right? It's a win-win on multiple levels. And then we're doing sunglasses and stuff like this. Some of these are more expensive than you will want to or will spend, which is totally fine. We're going to do pumpkin carving kits for Halloween as kind of like a combo thing. Yes.
This is the wrong time to ask this, but I don't want to forget.
Okay.
I want to talk to whoever is doing the pumpkin carving.
Uh-huh.
Because your guys' kids, I have a family business, and you guys should be using those.
You hear that? Did you hear that? Okay.
Yeah.
You're looking like we run that, but he's the final say, right? So talk to one of us, probably her, because I think that's the one we said that you're going to take over, or was it pies? It was pies. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to forget. So I knew if I talked about it, it would help me.
No, you're good. Right? But that's what a 36 touch is, right? 36, everybody knows, or you don't know, and that's okay. 36 touch means you have contact with every single person in your database 36 times every single year, right? But that doesn't mean phone calls or texts or whatever it might be, right? That means emails or event invites or follow-ups or mailers, like there's all kinds of things, but The ideal is 36 times every single year, which sounds like way harder than it actually is. You're doing all these things. So let's do the math. This is 36. That's a pretty good. So we like to do slide broadcast too. This is a great one for anyone who wants to do that. I'm pretty sure slide broadcast is free up to, no, you pay per voicemail. So it's like we sent like 4,000 voicemails. Oh, it wasn't that many. It was like 2,000 voicemails and it was like $800 or something. So if you're doing 100, right? So you have 100 people in your database, right? If you're doing 100, it's probably going to cost you like $20 or something like that. I don't know exactly what the math turns out to be. But for $20, we dropped a voicemail to every single person in our database with a Happy New Year slash, we did Happy New Year first. That was probably the most successful thing we've done all year, was drop a Happy New Year voicemail. And literally it said, hey, it's Josh. Just wanted to say Happy New Year. I hope you and your family are doing great. That's literally all it said. It was like 5 seconds long, but we sent it to every single person and it was agent specific. Yeah, so slide broadcast will call them, immediately hang up, and then it goes instantly to their voicemail and it will leave a voicemail for them. So they'll see a missed call and they'll have a voicemail and you didn't do anything. All you did was record a thing and then hit send. And it does it for every single person in your database. Isn't that cool? That can get annoying, right? Like if you're doing that every single month, I would definitely not do that every single month. But on occasion, right? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever it might be. We were doing it for daylight savings and then the government just got rid of daylight savings. So that'll be a conversation we'll have to figure out. But we do it for event invites and for these types of things. So we did it for daylight savings. It was a little bit less effective, but still good. And then we do it for most of our events. Any questions on that? But that's another touch that you can do, right? But the point is, you are reaching out 36 times a year. So this gives an idea right here. So 4 calls, that's usually a standard, right? You call your people every quarter. Every single person in your database, call once a quarter. And then 26 touches through email or some kind of information of value to the consumer, right? 12 of those, at least, if you're doing a monthly. If you do bi-monthly, that's 24. And you only have to figure out 2 mailers every year, right? So do that instead, right? Whatever you do, there's not like a right way to do this. And I love to teach this about 36 touches. Like the right way is consistency, right? And so whatever you do, just do it and do it consistently. That seem fair? 4 touches promotional, yeah. Any questions about a 36 touch before I move on? We're at 10:30. You guys feel good? All right. We are going to, here's our 36 touch. We are going to take a break. Let's take a 10-minute break. And then we're going to come back and we're going to put some things to practice and talk about a few more key aspects, okay? Yeah, definitely. Testimonials and review slide, okay. Right here. Talk to me. Oh, you just wanted to write down some of the things? Okay. So go get a drink, go to the bathroom. We'll take 7.5 minutes. Just kidding. I wanted to see something really random. We'll come back at 10:38. It's 10:31. Probably. I don't know though. Hopefully. Nice. All right, 10:38. It's time. All right, let's go back here. Is this helpful? Natalie, do you find this helpful?
I do. I think it's so cool this year.
Is it? It is cold. Should we turn it up? No, we're almost done. You guys mind if we end early? Or do you want to stay for another hour? Like, please get me out of this class. I can see it in all of your eyes. Let's give it one more minute and to trickle back.
So in the handout,
Yes.
and like, I want to ask something.
Okay.
I can't, or can I pull it from my contacts?
I would think not, but I don't know. I've never used this app. Actually, this app came out after I switched to Chime. Because, fun fact, most teams don't use. So I don't know how to use it.
Okay, because I would like to be able to
That would seem like a good idea.
pull it from my contacts.
Mhm.
Instead of having to back and forth, okay, copy the number, paste it
Are
over.
you talking about importing your phone contact list to command?
No, she's talking about when she's on the app, can she pull a contact from her contacts and put it in instead of a list? Does that make sense?
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Like the app connects to her contact list. Yeah. Yeah, you can import, like you can export the list of contacts in your phone and then import it into command. That's easy. But to do it one contact at a time through the app, I don't know if that's possible. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, so we talked about database and how a smart database creates a data bank. And smart database meaning smart plans and consistent follow-up through 36 touch, right? So let's talk about follow-up. Let's talk about calls. Have you guys heard about the Ford method? How well do you know the Ford method? How often have you talked about the Ford method? Okay, it's because it's important. We're going to practice the Ford method. And we're going to talk about the Ford method. So the Ford method is when you call someone, these are the, for those who don't know, these are the areas you're going to talk about, right? Family, occupation, meaning work, recreation, meaning hobbies or stuff, and then dreams. What are your goals for this year? So on and so forth. This is an awesome thing, especially at the beginning of the year, especially to end with dreams, right? Because the conversation is, hey, how's your family? What you up to with work? Oh yeah, I'm still in real estate, blah, 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 blah. We're planning on doing some pretty sweet things this year. What are your dreams for this year? Like what, do you have any cool New Year's resolutions that you want to accomplish? Oh, you want to buy an investment property? Perfect, you know, because people, that's what they think of, right? Said no one ever. Or what about buying an investment property, right? You want to shore up your retirement? Great. Well, I'd love to meet with you and talk to you about that. So let's practice the Ford method. I want to actually, before we practice the Ford method, I want to talk about one more thing. Have you guys heard of 3 questions deep? Okay, someone shook their head, so we're going to talk about it. 3 questions deep. So 3 questions deep meaning you ask a question, how's your family? And they answer, how's your family? Go, how's your family? Great. Okay, how's your family? The answer is great. That does not count as one of the questions. That's starting the conversation, right? And then next question deep. What's a follow-up question to great? What's been going on? Great. Usually what I like to ask is, what does great mean? Right? Whatever they answer with, I say, what does that mean? Right? How's your family? They're doing okay. What does okay mean? Right? Okay, what does great mean? I'm asking you.
Oh.
Yep, this is a real conversation. Tell me about your family. What does great mean?
We're busy.
Okay. What's keeping you busy these days?
End of school, me trying to dive into my real estate, the kids' activities, my boys at karate. Just busy.
How do you feel about being busy?
Keeps me being bored.
Hmm.
Keeps me away from being bored. Sorry.
Okay, is that good or bad?
That's good
Why?
because I need to keep my mind occupied.
Gosh, I'm sorry I'm late. What does Ford mean?
Oh, that's okay. I'll go back a slide. Then you can look at that. So do you see how we're getting deeper here though? Like I hesitate to go too deep because I don't want it to feel personal, but I want it to feel personal for you guys in your calls. Does that make sense? Like, let's talk about how keeping your mind occupied is important to you. Why is that, right? Like, let's go deeper. Let's go a little bit deeper. And then when you start making these connections with people, right? Where it just started about my family's great. And then suddenly you realize that, you know, I don't know where that would lead, but like you realize some deep meaning behind the word boredom for this person that you didn't realize before. Now you have this connection, then you can put it in your notes. You can have that conversation with them later. Yes.
Oftentimes when we ask somebody, hey, how are you doing? People give you a vague answer because they don't actually expect you to care.
Yes.
So those questions that you're asking deep, all of a sudden they're going, you actually are caring.
Yes.
And that's when they start to open up and go,
Uh-huh.
this is how I really am.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
display that face.
Yep. Yeah, we want to get to the point of this is how I really am feeling with all of your calls. I want you to get really good at this. Okay. So we're going to practice the Ford method. The Ford method, just so you know, Greg, is when you call people, these are the topics of conversation, not necessarily in this order. Let's make that clear because you want the conversation to be more fluid, not fluid, what's the word? Natural than forced through this list, right? But you should hit on all of these topics. Or just hit on one of them if it goes deep enough and you feel like that covers all of your bases, right? But why do we talk about occupation? Besides the fact that they probably have an occupation and it's something to talk about. Yes. So we can talk about my occupation. Yes. Guys, there's a little selfish aspect going on here, but that's the easiest way to tie this into referrals, right? Like, how's work going? Great. How's your work going, right? Isn't that the follow-up question? Like, natural law says that they should ask you that question too, and sometimes they won't, and that's okay. But like, this is a really easy way to jump into, you know what? Great. I've been thinking about you actually, and I'm starting to start my business, and you're like one of the top people in my mind. Let's have a conversation about top 50, right? That seem fair? Okay. All right, we're going to take the next 15 minutes. Sorry. Oh, shoot. Okay. I'll do that later. We're going to take the next 15 minutes, and I want you to call 5 people. And I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to walk around, and I want you to have a Ford conversation with them. You too. That seem fair? You guys are all nervous. Why are you nervous?
We're like, crap, who do we call right now?
Who do you call right now? Freak, call your mom. It was Mother's Day yesterday. If you didn't call her, I mean, just kidding. Don't call your mom. You probably already talked to her yesterday. But like, there's not a right or wrong way to do this, right? You're having a purposeful conversation with 5 random people in your phone, or not random, right? Call 5 people. In fact, why don't we do this? We're going to take 3 minutes, and you're going to write down the list of the 5 people you're going to call. Okay? Ready, set, go. Raise your hand when you have all 5 people written down. We'll make it a little bit easier on you. We'll say 3 people. 3 people. Remember, these are people you're going to go 3 questions deep with.
Can't go 3 questions deep with the
Well, there's not a short amount of time. If you only end up with one phone call done in those 15 minutes, I'm fine with that.
Oh.
That seem fair? That's a good point. Don't feel rushed in your calls. I mean, let me rephrase that actually. This is an important point to make. You should not be spending 15 minutes with every single client on a phone call. Does that make sense? That's going to take you your entire lifetime to get through your list of people to call. So if that's how it's going to end up doing, only cover one or two of these forward points. Does that make sense? Cover family and occupation instead of going to recreation and dreams. Does that seem fair? But try to make your calls be 5 minutes rather than 15 minutes towards the maximum level, unless you feel like you need to, have this conversation, especially to start out, right? Like your first call with these people, that's going to be how it's going to be, right? You're going to have a deep conversation and it might take 15 minutes. But after that, when you're calling them every quarter, that becomes a little bit less and less of a need, right? Then you're focusing on more of one topic than on all of the topics because you haven't caught up for 10 years or whatever it's been.
Okay, so something I'm running into is that people that I have those relationships with, we're talkers. I don't do 5-minute phone calls.
Okay, so the comment was, I don't do 5-minute phone calls. That's why we practice.
Weird for my people.
Hmm.
Because I call people so we can talk, so we can get in about what is going on. Like, I'm not a small talker.
Great. I don't want you to be a small talker, but I want you to be a smaller talker. Does that seem fair? So maybe what's your average phone call time then? 20 minutes? Okay, we're going to cut that in half. That's going to be your goal this month. Let's cut that time to 10 minutes and be more specific with what you talk about. Be like, hey, I just had like 5 or 10 minutes and I was thinking of you. Let's talk, like, how's your family? Does that make sense? Set the expectation as soon as you start the phone call. Like, I only have 5 or 10 minutes, so I'm not trying to be rude, but I do care enough about you. I want to have a conversation with you that's meaningful. That seem fair? It's hard, right? Especially if that's your habit is 20 minutes, right? But I think that's important to break, especially for work calls. If you're counting this as a work call, right? You're going to have moments in your life where you're going to have an hour conversation with somebody, right? Because something happened, right? And that's fine. But when you're calling for specifically to get business, you got to cut that down, because otherwise it does become a 3-hour lead generation time because you're calling 10 people and it took a full 3 hours to call 10 people, right? That's assuming they answer too. Anyway, okay, you guys ready? You got your people written down, all 3? Okay, let's start. Whip out those phones. You can go anywhere in the room. You don't have to sit right next to people and hear people in the background, but let's start calling. We're talking to people. That's great.
All right, David's back.
Perfect. Thanks, David. We'll start up in about 4 minutes. All right, start wrapping up your calls. We're at 2 minutes out. How was it? Good? What does good mean?
I try to make them short. I usually like talking for a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Tell her your caller in 20 minutes. All right, this isn't an aha slide, but we're going to make this an aha slide before I tell you what my aha was that I forgot to talk to you about. But what were your ahas with calling your people?
I've got a couple things.
Right, David.
I don't think I've ever called anyone other than my mom, dad, and wife just to see how they're doing in my life. So
Oh, wow. This is a big deal for you.
it is, because it's not something, it's not the normal me, but I kind of started out with people I'd know I'd be more comfortable talking to, and then moved on to less comfortable from there. And it was easier than I thought it would be. And having a method, things to talk about initially helps out a lot with knowing how to do it and what to say to make it more natural.
I love it. I love that, David. What a great comment. What else? No other ahas?
So, I called my friend, she said, hey, I'll call you back.
Uh-huh.
And so I sat here and waited, and we only got 2 seconds before you guys came back. And I said, you know what? I was just on a break in my real estate class.
Yeah.
So throwing in, she goes, oh yeah, your class. We didn't talk about it.
Yeah. But you threw in real estate. I'm just on a break from my real estate class, and now she remembers. Yep, you're in real estate. Yeah, guys, these calls are really just about like that quick reminder. Hey, I'm in real estate, without actually saying, hey, I'm in real estate, like you're just checking in on people. So practice makes perfect. Practice this with your spouses, practice it with your friends, practice it in your normal calls. especially 3 questions deep. Because as agents, we're going to stop having surface level conversations, right? We're going to stop giving surface level answers as well. We want to go 3 questions deep. We're going to figure out, we're going to connect with people in a much better way. Okay. This is the other thing I want to say. So let's go to here. Your job is to build a community and serve the community. So you are calling so many people, and these are electricians and coders and whatever they might be. They are all kinds of professions, right? Make a point of saying like, whatever you're, plumber, whatever you do, right? I work in real estate. I would love, like, if something comes up, like, I would love to have you be on my list of people that I can call when a plumbing job needs to have happened or whatever, right? Like, oh, you're in solar, that's so cool. I work in real estate, right? Or whatever it might be. People have professions just like you have a profession. And sometimes that profession might be needed to help somebody else, that a person that's in solar, or a person that is in whatever it might be, massage therapy or whatever it might be, right? And so how can they offer value to your group? So be interested in what they're saying and in your conversation, and think about that as well as the bigger picture, right? You're building a community here with you as the expert. You know people, right? And the only way that you know people is by getting to know people. And that's why we have Ford calls. Does that make sense? But that's a bigger picture thing to think about, right? When people call Peter Merkel, he literally knows somebody who's a professional in pretty much everything, right? Like, oh, I know the foundation guy. Oh, I know Dan, who's down at Linden City, who can help you subdivide that, or whatever, right? Like, he knows people. And so you know people too, or get to know people. Okay, we're almost out of time. I don't want to go too much longer, but told you I would show you how to make Facebook ads to your SOI. So I'm going to do that next. Does that seem fair?
Before you go into that,
Okay.
just another little aha, but not really this, but just as we're trying to get ourselves out there.
Great.
I had worn my name tag to a meeting that I went to, and we were talking about it, and she was like, "It's so good. Wear your name tag because it gets your name out there, even while you're not even talking about it." And I kind of felt silly at first, but now I wear my name tag more.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the conversations that I have with people, their eyes, they stare at my name tag half the time. They literally go from name tag to my eyes.
Name tag to your eyes. Name tag to your eyes.
And, even though we may not talk about real estate, they're going, oh, she knows something.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So if they did have a question, they would,
Yep.
this says, hey, ask me something.
Yeah, I know this stuff. So if you have a question, yeah, I love that. And let me just go off that really quick. I love getting swag that talks about real estate, like a realtor hat or ask me about Utah real estate shirt, all this stuff.
Favorite Mother's Day gift ever.
Yeah, well, there you go. Realtors, I'll be there for you, right? So I love getting real estate swag because I wear it to things like family reunions, right? They're kind of my garbage clothes of like, I'm going on a hike or I'm going out with a group or whatever, right? And now when we have family reunions, like this just happened, we go to Memorial Day weekend every time. And so they're sending out the info of like, we're so excited. We're excited to see this baby. We're excited this. We're excited for Josh to tell us all about the real estate market because that's pretty much all he ever talks about, right? Like I'm now in the family group email that's mentioned as the realtor of the family. And I didn't have to do anything. I am that guy. I'm the guy that wears the realtor shirt and I'm not annoying about it. It's just a shirt I wear. But then people ask me questions and I know the answers and I'm super excited and eager to talk about it, right? And they know that, but they know I'm not that guy that's always trying to push it into the conversation, So anyway. Okay, so let's go to, oh, I can exit. Okay, so Facebook ads. There is a difference between Facebook and business Facebook. Did you guys know that this existed? Business.facebook.com. Facebook is your friendly neighborhood consumer side. Business Facebook is your friendly neighborhood. I own a business and I'm going to run my business through Facebook side. Okay, we're going to work in the business Facebook side. So if you go to business.facebook.com, You will see this side. You cannot do any of this unless you have a business page. You have to create a business page to run ads in Facebook. And even if you don't have any followers on your business page, that's totally fine. It doesn't matter. But you have to have the page itself. Okay. So I am an ads manager for these different, actually I'm an ads manager for this brokerage, which is hilarious. And I used to work for this team and now I work for this team. So I'm an ads manager for those guys. So if I go down to ads manager, this is different than if I go into Facebook and there's an ads center. So if I go into my, just want to make sure this is very clear. If I go into Facebook, I can go into lead center or ad center. It's different. Okay. I can still run ads for Facebook on the consumer side, but if I want to go deep, I have to go to ads manager. Okay. So I create a campaign, I can name it whatever I want. In this case, I did SOI test because I had never done this before. So I called it a test and then I just never changed it. Now we run it for every single person in our team. And so we spend $1 a day, right, to run an ad. And so this is what it looks like. Edit. No, wait. Where's the edit button? Why am I? This is so hard for me to see from the side. Okay, let's see here. Cancel. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this looks way more confusing than it is. Basically, you create a campaign. In fact, why don't I start from scratch? No, I'm going to show you this so you can see how it's supposed to be set up. So you create a campaign. Cancel. By the way, this is recorded, so you can look at this and kind of see it and understand it at a higher level, but not understand all the details, and that's perfect, because then you can come back and watch the video if you want to do this, okay? So you create a campaign, you call it SOI test, and then you create a ad. So we'll go to mine, Josh SOI, right? And in it, you're going to fill out all this stuff, traffic, whatever. So I put in my ad name. I say I want to go to a website. My budget is $1 a day. And then right here, I can add a list, any list I want to. So I export my entire database or I export it to a CSV and then I copy all the emails on it. I just get every email I possibly have. I pulled this from all kinds of sources. Some of them you don't want to know about, but I pulled all kinds of sources of people that I know in different scenarios. And then I added them to here. So to do that, I go to custom audience, customer list, hit next, and then here I can download the file template. So that like you can, it's kind of like Command, right? Have you guys imported your contacts into Command yet? It's that same concept. Command has like a file that you just write your people on or copy and paste your people onto, right? This is the same concept. This has a file. Three of the columns are email, 3 of the columns are something. You only care about the email columns, right? And you're just going to copy and paste all your emails into that email column, and that's it. That seemed pretty easy. And then you're going to save that file and upload it into here. And then go through and fill out this. So placements, automatic placements. I like to just, if Facebook gives me an automatic option that they'll do, I'll let them do it instead of me worrying about it. Optimize for ad delivery. What I want is impressions. I just want as many people to see this as possible. I don't really care about them clicking on it. I don't really care about them going to my landing page. I just want them to see it. Because again, this is like a 36 touch, right? I want them to see me and think realtor, think realtor, think realtor. So I care more about it getting in front of people than it actually them clicking on it. And then what the ad actually says is here in the, then you create ads off of that. But curious about buying, selling, or building a home, I've got your back. Then it has a little picture of me with a home and my number. And only those people whose emails I have see this ad. So it's not a public thing, right? Or friends of theirs, actually. So I guess any random Joe could hypothetically call me. But guys, we're realtors. Our phone number is public information at this point, right? So anyway, that seemed kind of cool. And so I made this in Canva. Super easy. It's just a picture. Looks way more complicated than it is, right? This is just an image I got off of pexels.com, where you can get free stock images and not have to be worried about getting sued. I'll say it again, pexels.com. It's a good website. I'm just a click away. It sends them to my website for a free home. Actually, no, it just our regular petermerkel.com website. And then again, here's my phone number. So yeah. And then usually I have it in terms of parameters. Is that here or is it here? I think it's here. I think I usually have it, anybody living in Utah. Does that make sense? Because I could put this nationally because it's emails that I have and they might not be in Utah, but the people I really care about are the ones that are actually physically in Utah when they're looking at Facebook, right? And so that's who the ad pops up in front. Is that kind of cool? So you can do this in ad campaign. I'm going to give you an invitation. If any of you actually want to do this and you get stuck after watching this video, come find me and I will walk you through it. Okay? I'm offering that. My office is pretty much, hang on. Let's see, you go up the stairs to the second level, you turn right, you walk past Shoney's office. You're all following me so far? Okay, you walk past Shoney's office and I'm like 6 offices down on the right, or like 4 offices. It's the Peter Merkel Real Estate Group. There's literally a logo on our door that says Peter Merkel Real Estate Group, and I'm in there. Okay? Seem fair? Come find me. I'm happy to help you with this. But this is a really awesome way to get in front of your people in pretty much the most non-threatening way possible. They're already scrolling through Facebook. You know how many people text me or anybody on our team and say, I saw your ad. That's so cool. You know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Right? Like, it's such a non-threatening and easy way to get your face in front of people. Okay? All right. Any other questions for me? Let's make sure we didn't miss any important things in this class. No, 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 no. There's the summary. Don't quit too soon. Think long term. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's talk about, oh wait. So this is good. No, I don't want to talk about that. I don't care. Let's talk about this really quick. Let's just talk about ahas. So I want everybody to tell me one thing you're going to do after this class. What's the one thing you're going to do? Start here. Go. Add 5 contacts at least today. Okay. Next, I want to hear a number of how many every day. That's the real trick. I love it though. Get in that habit. Go.
I'm gonna call 5 more people.
Call 5 more people. Love it.
I'm gonna get email address
Love it. Not just their name and number, email address as well. Go.
I'm gonna check out Chime, see which one I like better, and then so I can handle one like that.
Perfect. I love that. He's going to check out Chime to see which one he likes better. Can I make a suggestion? Don't use Chime. Use Command. The reason why is because Command is free. And I think personally that Command is totally sufficient if you're a solo agent. That's everything you need. Does this turn off? No? Okay. Diving into something like Chime is complicated and not cheap. It's going to be like, I mean, it's super expensive. It's like less than $100 a month, but that's $100 a month that you don't need to spend. Does that make sense? Go.
I am going to go, I have not done my top 50 and I have not put in all my contacts yet. So I want to go home and I want to go get that updated and figure out. I may not have a top 50 right now. So maybe I need to start with top 10, top 20.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's a great point. Yeah. If you don't have a top 50, pick a number and get to that number. But in the long term, if you have 200 contacts, right, we'll say that as a benchmark. 200 contacts, you should have a top 50 of that 200. Okay. In the back.
Yeah, I guess just communicating with the database because I mean, all the contacts were there, and I definitely have made an effort to try and reach out to these people. So I mean,
Yeah. So reaching out on a consistent basis to everybody in your database. Love it. David, go.
I'm going to go through my Facebook page as well and make sure everyone in there is in my command. Because I think you need to add like another 25 people from there at least.
Yeah, perfect. I love it. I don't know who else is on Zoom. Michelle, are you still on Zoom or are you in team meeting? Michelle's on her team, so she's probably in team training. Okay. Anybody else on Zoom want to add what they're going to do? Okay. Well, that's it. That's all I got. Come find me if you need me. Thanks for coming and have a great day.
Thank you.
Oh, Facebook. The ultimate distraction.
Thank you, Josh. It was great.
Hey, you're welcome.
Hey, Josh, I got a question for you.
Shoot.